Not that, no, that's specifically isn't flag. But you might see some as we walk around. So, as a result, a lot of the wetlands were lost because of the filling in that was occurring over the years. But the area was really vibrant because of the jobs that were created by the industry. More and more people saw Chicago as the place to be because of the jobs that were being provided by all these companies. So Chicago grew and became known as pretty much the steelmaking capital of the world. Besides what was happening in the Ruhr Valley, later on before Second World War in Europe, in Germany, and that area. Chicago was really probably the largest place for the steelmaking activity. So after all the development that occurred here, despite that, there are still wetlands that have survived all the changes that have occurred in the region. And this is why we are here today. This is why we're here to do stewardship, to protect these wetlands that are still in existence here. And we are very lucky to have natural areas like this within the city of Chicago. A lot of people don't realize that we're still in the Chicago limits. So the more people we can get to understand that they have access to such areas that they can enjoy, the more it'll be a lot easier to be able to conserve and protect these areas. So this is why we're doing a big restoration project over here.
There was a segment on WTW last night, a man named David Hegewisch or something like that. He has a photograph of the book on Calumet. Night, and he's taking a lot of photographs. So maybe Rod Sellers has somebody who's trying to eclipse him, but I guess he has a new book on photographs of Calumet. How nature and industry continue to survive to this day in Calumet. And he took pictures of a lot of the houses that are right next to industrial sites. It was a really fascinating clip.
Exactly. I mean, the steelmaking process was 24-hour business.
They had one house next to the BP storage tank.
Right.
There's a storage tank and there's the house.
Right. So they had their workers right next door, easy access to pretty much take advantage of as well.
Jerry, I'd like to remind you and everybody else that in the Chicago Wilderness magazine, the spring issue, the Calumet was featured, so you could see the history and the ecological wonders of the Calumet, going from the Chicago area of Calumet to the suburbs and all the way into Indiana.
Yeah, so we have some high school students who will be joining us as well. So they'll come over. So Hegewisch Marsh, like I mentioned, we received up to now it's about 1.2 million in funding for restoration at this site, and we got this funding through the National Coastal Wetlands Conservation Program from the Fish and Wildlife Service, and we are currently in phase 2 of the restoration project. Phase 1 actually started in January 2007, and the plan for this marsh was developed in 2004 with the contractor Tetra Tech, who came up with the design plans for this site itself. And the final plan was issued in fall of 2006. And the main goal of restoration here was to, one, debris removal, because the history of this area, it's been known too long as a dumping ground for all sorts of things. And we have landfills surrounding us, and we'll actually see a landfill before. But at this site, as well as other sites, there's a lot of dumping that happens. So we've had to remove items such as batteries, car shells, loads and loads of tires, that kind of material. We actually had like 144 piles of debris that we had to remove. Sean, can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's everything. We took out, I think, 5 semi-loads of tires alone, railroad ties, concrete piles, construction debris, a lot of roofing, a lot of asphalt shingles,
don't have any of those?
No yellow pages. We had, I think, 6 or 7 cars were removed, pieces of cars, you name it, it was out there.
And it was hidden because there was so much invasive species. I mean, before 2007, you couldn't even look into the marsh like you looked at. You see this. There was so much Phragmites, there was so much buckthorn that was just choking up the marsh. So that was the other goal, invasive species control, removing
How
that
did you
buckthorn.
do that?
Sorry?
How did you do that?
Manual means, primarily.
Just digging it up and cutting it
Going
back.
in and cutting it down, and some species.
Yeah, the woody species, cut and remove. We cut them, we chip them. You can see evidence of that. We used all the wood chips to create the trails you guys will be walking on today. The herbaceous stuff, a combination of cutting and herbicide treatment, depending on the species. Some areas we mowed as well. So
Or burned.
we conducted 2 controlled burns out here as well.
And tree removal was another goal. The majority of trees at this location were cottonwood trees. And the problem with cottonwoods is they drop excess amounts of water from the ground. And this is a wetland, so we can't have too much water coming out of the ground. So the decision was made to remove some of the cottonwoods and replace them with other native species of trees that are common to this area. So this is our 3rd round of tree planting that we're doing with Hegewisch Marsh. We're really excited about that. They're the cottonwoods, natural.
Yes, they're native. Yeah.
Not too many.
Well, they're considered kind of a weedy native. They have a really low value. They kind of take over everything. Besides drawing up water, they also shade out the ground plane, and it doesn't allow for a good natural ground plane.
You still left a lot of them, though, right?
We did. We for our contract, they actually went through and specified the trees that were to be removed. The idea was to sort of recreate a canopy, a percentage of canopy that would have been equal to a historic system. And so basically we culled trees to put in new trees to try and maintain what would have been a more native canopy. And over time, as native trees mature, cottonwoods would be taken out as necessary.
And all the trees that we brought down, we mulched on site and used, like Sean said, to lay on the trail that you'll be walking on. Now, in terms of laying out the trail system, before we ever started work at this site has been used for off-roading and ATVing as well, which is a serious problem for wetlands because of the destructive nature of ATVs. I mean, it just tears up the ground. So the plan for the trails was we decided to lay the trail down on the ATV trails that already existed, so there will be less impact on the natural areas. So as we walk through, you'll see these huge ruts on the side of the path as well, which we'll be talking about as well. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to start walking along the trail, show you the open area, marsh area, and we're also going to go down to the Calumet River so you guys can see what it's like, and then we'll start our tree planting. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us at any time. So